You wake up in a world that feels off, not in an obvious way. No dystopian overlords, no visible chains around your wrists, but something is wrong. You feel it in your bones. A strange weight presses on your chest, a dull sense of exhaustion that no amount of sleep can cure. You look around, and everything appears normal. The streets are clean, the stores are stocked, the entertainment is endless. Life is convenient, comfortable, efficient. And yet, why do you feel so weak? Not physically. No, your body is fine, maybe even healthier than past generations, thanks to modern medicine and better nutrition. But something inside you has atrophied. Your mind feels sluggish. Your willpower is paper thin. The fire in your soul, the primal force that once drove humanity to conquer mountains, cross oceans, and build civilizations, has dimmed to an ember. Then a thought strikes you. What if this is the dystopia? Not one of violence, but of slow sedation. A world that doesn't imprison you, but numbs you. A world that doesn't enslave you, but persuades you, gently, insidiously, to surrender your strength without even realizing it. And so, you start to question everything. You see people glued to screens, scrolling endlessly, eyes vacant. You hear conversations devoid of depth, filled with empty phrases and rehearsed opinions. You notice the fear of discomfort, fear of solitude, fear of being wrong. How did we end up here? How did we, descendants of warriors, explorers, philosophers, become this? A generation that flinches at adversity, that avoids conflict at all costs, that mistakes comfort for happiness. They told us that progress would make us free, that technology would empower us, that a world without struggle would be better. But what if that was a lie? What if comfort has become our cage? What if strength, real, unshakable inner strength, has been quietly, systematically engineered out of us? And if that's true, what would it take to break free? You weren't always this way. We weren't always this way. There was a time when struggle was not something to be avoided. It was the very force that forged strength. Our ancestors did not have the luxury of comfort. Their lives were defined by risk, uncertainty, and hardship. And yet, they were more alive than we are now. Their minds were sharper, their willpower unbreakable, their souls tested by the fires of adversity. Today, something fundamental has changed. You see it in the way people react to the slightest discomfort. Complaints about slow Wi-Fi, minor inconveniences treated as personal injustices. You see it in how quickly we reach for distractions, unable to sit alone with our thoughts. You see it in the rise of anxiety, depression, and existential emptiness, despite living in the safest, most comfortable era in human history. But why? Why does modern society, despite its progress, despite its technological miracles, produce people who are weaker, not stronger? To answer this, we have to go deep, into psychology, into philosophy, into the very structure of the world we now inhabit. The death of struggle. Why hardship was always necessary. Friedrich Nietzsche warned us. He spoke of the Übermensch, the ideal human being, one who embraces suffering, who becomes stronger through struggle. He understood that hardship isn't an obstacle to growth, it is growth. Strength is built not in comfort, but in the face of resistance. But in our world, resistance has been systematically removed. Think about it. Every new advancement, every convenience, every innovation is designed to make life easier. We no longer need to hunt for food. It's delivered to our doorstep. We no longer need to struggle with difficult questions. Google answers them in seconds. We no longer need to tolerate boredom. Entertainment is infinite, available at the tap of a finger. The result? A society where people expect life to be easy, And when it isn't, they crumble. Arthur Schopenhauer saw it coming too. He believed that suffering was not something to be eliminated, but an essential part of existence. He argued that a life without struggle was a life without depth, without purpose. But modern society, in its endless pursuit of convenience, has done everything in its power to erase suffering. And in doing so, it has erased us. The illusion of freedom. How society quietly controls you. Jean-Paul Sartre said, "Man is condemned to be free." But what happens when freedom itself is manipulated? We like to believe we are free thinkers, that we make our own choices. But how many of your choices are truly yours? From the moment you wake up, you are bombarded with distractions, comforts, and illusions, all designed to keep you passive. Social media engineers your attention, feeding you precisely what will keep you scrolling. Advertisements whisper that happiness is just one purchase away. Politicians and media outlets craft narratives that shape how you think, what you fear, and what you desire. The scariest part, it's not a conspiracy. There's no grand villain plotting in the shadows. This system was not built by force, but by appeal to your instincts. It feels good to be entertained, to be comfortable, to avoid hardship. And so, without realizing it, you choose weakness. You choose it every time you avoid an uncomfortable truth. Every time you numb your boredom with cheap entertainment. Every time you let fear dictate your decisions. Carl Jung called this the shadow self, the hidden part of us that we refuse to confront, the part that wants comfort over challenge, that fears the unknown, that chooses safety over growth. And society feeds that shadow. It whispers, "Stay comfortable, don't question too much, trust the system." But here's the truth. A life without struggle is a slow death. When you remove all obstacles, you remove the very thing that makes you strong. You become weak not because of some external oppression, but because you've been conditioned to believe that strength is unnecessary. And the moment you believe that, you become a prisoner. But a prison with invisible walls is still a prison. And now that you see it, the real question is, will you escape the unseen consequences? You see it everywhere, but no one talks about it. The silent erosion of resilience, the slow decay of willpower, the collective collapse of mental and emotional strength. Look at the world around you, at the people in your life, at yourself. How often do you see someone break down over something trivial? How often do you witness someone give up at the first sign of resistance? How often do you find yourself avoiding discomfort, numbing pain, seeking an escape rather than facing reality? This is not an accident. Something profound has shifted in the human psyche, and you can feel it. You sense it in the way people hesitate before speaking their minds, terrified of offending. You see it in the way society rewards victimhood over resilience, fragility over strength. You feel it in yourself, in those moments when you hesitate to take action, not because you are incapable, but because modern life has trained you to doubt your own power. And the consequences are far worse than we realize. 1. The rise of psychological fragility. Anxiety, depression, and existential dread are skyrocketing. Not because life has gotten harder, but because we have become less capable of handling reality itself. A generation ago, people faced war, famine, economic collapse, and yet they endured. They adapted. They fought through hardship and emerged stronger. Today, a mean comment on social media can send someone into an emotional spiral, a rejection, a failure, an unexpected difficulty. These things shatter people now. Why? Because we have eliminated struggle, and in doing so, we have eliminated the very thing that made people strong. Psychologist Gabor Maté warns of a growing epidemic of addiction, not just to substances, but to distraction, validation, and comfort. He explains that trauma isn't just about extreme suffering, it's also about what was missing. And in today's world, what's missing is real challenge. Without hardship, without adversity, without struggle, we become fragile. But here's the paradox. A life without hardship doesn't create happiness, it creates emptiness. 2. The death of deep thinking. Look at how people consume information today. Scrolling, skimming, jumping from one distraction to another, unable to focus for more than a few seconds. Philosopher Aldous Huxley predicted this in Brave New World, a society where people are not controlled by force, but by pleasure and distraction, where the truth is buried under an avalanche of meaningless entertainment. And that's exactly what has happened. Instead of deep thinking, we consume bite-sized opinions. Instead of seeking wisdom, we seek validation. Instead of questioning the system, we let algorithms decide what we believe. The result? A world where people do not think for themselves. And when people stop thinking, they stop resisting. They stop questioning the structures that keep them weak. They become obedient, not by force, but by choice. 3. The quiet surrender of freedom. Jean-Paul Sartre argued that true freedom is terrifying, that people, when given the chance, often run from it, because freedom demands responsibility, it demands effort, it demands strength. And so, modern society has given people a way out. It has offered them the illusion of choice, the illusion of freedom, while quietly robbing them of their strength to use that freedom. Think about it. Every convenience, every technological advance, every comfort, we accept them blindly, believing they make life better. But do they? Or have they made us dependent? Can you sit alone in a room without your phone? Can you go a day without consuming entertainment? Can you function without constant stimulation? Most people can't. That is not freedom. That is addiction. And addiction, whether to technology, to comfort, to external validation, is the fastest way to lose control of your life. Because the moment you need something outside of yourself to function, you are no longer in control. The loss of meaning. Why comfort breeds emptiness? Viktor Frankl, a man who survived the horrors of Nazi concentration camps, wrote that human beings do not seek pleasure, they seek meaning. But meaning does not come from comfort. It comes from struggle, purpose, and the pursuit of something greater than yourself. And yet, look at how modern society frames happiness. It tells you that happiness is consumption, that it's ease, that it's escaping difficulty. But this is a lie. Happiness is not the absence of struggle. It is the result of overcoming struggle. The people who feel the most lost, the most empty, the most dead inside, they are not the ones who suffer the most. They are the ones who suffer the least, the ones who have never been truly tested, the ones who have never had to fight for something meaningful. And that is the final consequence of this modern world. Not just weakness, not just fragility, but a slow, quiet death of the human spirit. And if we do not wake up, if we do not reclaim our strength, then we will continue down this path, watching ourselves become more dependent, more fragile, more lost. But there is another way, a way to break free, a way to rebel. 2. Reclaim your mind from the system. Your mind has been hijacked by algorithms, by social conditioning, by endless distractions designed to keep you passive. It's time to take it back. Start with your attention. Ask yourself, who decides what I think about? Who decides what I focus on? If the answer is social media, the news, or entertainment corporations, you are not in control. So take radical action. Detox from mindless consumption. Reduce the noise. Cut the distractions. Read books instead of scrolling endlessly. Practice deep thinking. Write. Reflect. Challenge your own beliefs instead of letting the world program them. Be ruthless with your time. Stop giving your energy to things that weaken you. If something doesn't make you stronger, cut it out. You will feel withdrawal at first. Your mind will crave the old comforts, but push through it. Real power begins when you break free from mental slavery. 3. Confront your shadow. There is a part of you that you have been avoiding. Carl Jung called it the shadow self, the hidden side of your personality that contains everything you deny, suppress, or fear. Your anger, your ambition, your darkness. Modern society tells you to suppress this side, to be passive, to be agreeable, to be nice. But here's the truth. Your shadow is not your enemy. It is your greatest source of power. The people who thrive in this world, the leaders, the visionaries, the ones who refuse to be controlled, are the ones who have integrated their shadow. They do not run from their darker nature. They master it. So stop running. Face your fears. What are you avoiding? What truths make you uncomfortable? Confront them. Acknowledge your desires. What do you truly want? Power? Success? Freedom? Stop pretending you don't. Accept your full self. You are not just light. You are also darkness. And that darkness, when harnessed, is a weapon. This is not about becoming ruthless or destructive. It is about owning your full potential, without shame, without guilt, without fear. 4. Train your body. Train your will. Weakness is not just mental, it is physical. The body and the mind are connected. If your body is weak, your willpower will be weak. If you do not challenge yourself physically, you will struggle to challenge yourself in life. So make this non-negotiable. Move, train, push yourself. Not because of aesthetics, not because of vanity, but because discipline in the body creates discipline in the mind. Lift weights, run, do something hard every day. Wake up early, even when you don't feel like it. Push yourself to the limit and then push past it. This is how warriors are made. 5. Stop seeking approval. Start seeking power. You have been trained to care what others think, to seek validation, to fit in. This is a trap. True strength comes when you stop asking for permission to exist. You do not need validation. You do not need permission. You do not need approval from anyone. Stop explaining yourself. Stop apologizing for wanting more. Stop shrinking to make others comfortable. Instead, focus on building power. Power over your mind through discipline and deep thinking. Power over your body through physical training. Power over your life by cutting out everything that weakens you. Most people will never do this. Most people will choose weakness because it is easier, but not you. You see the cage now, and you refuse to stay inside it. The rebellion starts now. Look around you. The world is asleep. Most people will never wake up. They will continue to live in comfort, in distraction, in quiet surrender. But you are different. You have felt the pull, the urge to break free, to reclaim your strength, to become something more. And the choice is now yours. Will you remain in the illusion? Will you stay comfortable, weak, dependent? Or will you rebel? The ultimate truth. The final, most powerful realization. Imagine this. You wake up one morning and something has changed. Not in the world. The world is the same. The distractions are still there. The comforts still whisper their seductive lullaby. The system still hums in the background, designed to keep you passive. But you are different. Because now you see it. You see the invisible cage that has trapped you for years. Not a physical prison, but a mental one. A prison built from ease, from validation, from the slow, subtle erosion of your own willpower. And in that moment, one final truth hits you, a truth so powerful it changes everything. No one is coming to save you. Not society, not your government, not your family, not your friends. The only person who can break you out of this prison is you. The lie you have been sold. From the moment you were born, you were told a story, a comforting story, a story designed to make you obedient, dependent, and passive. The story goes like this: work hard, follow the rules, and life will reward you. Trust the system. It has your best interest at heart. Happiness comes from comfort, from security, from doing what you're told. But here's the truth. This was never about your happiness. It was about your control. The world does not want you to be strong. It does not want you to be free. Because strong, free individuals are dangerous to a system built on passivity. A weak person is easy to manipulate, easy to distract, easy to control. A strong person, a person who does not seek approval, who does not fear struggle, who has taken full responsibility for their life. That person is unstoppable. The power. They don't want you to have, Carl Jung said. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. This is what modern society has done to you. It has filled your mind with unconscious programming, beliefs that keep you small, habits that keep you weak, fears that keep you from realizing your own power. But here's the part they don't tell you. The moment you take full responsibility for your life, you take back control. The moment you stop blaming society, stop waiting for permission, stop making excuses, you win. Because at that moment, you have done something most people never do. You have awakened. The realization that changes everything. Most people live their entire lives asleep, not because they are incapable, but because waking up is painful. It forces you to see that. Your suffering is your responsibility. No one is coming to fix your life for you. Your mind is your greatest battlefield. If you do not control it, someone else will. Weakness is a choice. Strength is not given. It is earned every single day. And the most terrifying realization of all, you have always had the power to change. The cage was never locked. You were just too afraid to open the door. The end of the illusion, who you become. Now, you stand at a crossroads. One path is the same as before: comfort, safety, the slow decay of your spirit. Most people will choose this path because it is easier. But the other path, it is hard. It demands sacrifice. It demands discomfort. It demands a total rejection of everything you've been conditioned to believe. But it also gives you something in return: strength, power, freedom. And so, you make the choice. Not to be weak, not to be passive, not to be another person sleepwalking through life, but to be fully alive. And as you take that first step toward discomfort, toward challenge, toward the life that was always meant for you, you realize something profound. You were never weak. You were just waiting to wake up. If this video resonated with you, don't let it end here. Like, share, and subscribe to The Hidden Archive, because the truth isn't given, it's discovered. Join us as we uncover the ideas that challenge, awaken, and transform. The journey is just beginning.